It's 2 in the morning on the East Coast of the United States. I have no idea what time it is down and under.
Hey everyone, guess what? It's time for Shiny Side Out again. That's what it is. And hopefully you can hear me. Yes. Yes. I'm Dave.
And I am the Mechie.
The Mechie, who is very, very low down in volume.
Oh.
Again.
Good. Oh, that's very strange.
Alright, and this is Shiny Side Out, believe it or not. We're broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on Revolution.Radio. The dot part is part of the address. What was that? Now I can hear your mouse click and your mouse slide. Take it back down.
So
again.
my voice is better?
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ! What's the right setting here? Okay.
Just put it back to normal.
How's that?
That's perfect.
How's that?
There.
Oh, okay.
There. Video. Watch the video. This is home to Fresh Ideas. That's the station's website. And you've got to buy some merchandise. Do that. Support the station. If you like anything we say, it's a no-brainer. Join us in the chat room, and you can talk to us while we're on air. Mechie, I'm asking, are you in the chat room?
I am there now.
So am I. You'll see my name pop up there now. So hi in there, Jim Jones, John Wayne. Who else is there? Harmony 369. Good to catch up to you, all of you, and Flippy killed Rev Radio. I hope that's just a joke. So this is show number, Mechie. Will you believe this? I think it's 703.
3 and 700. Look, no, I don't, but I know it's true.
You know it's true, but I don't believe it. That's right.
I don't believe it.
The Mandela effect. Tune into us online and on your smart device directly via an app, or listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Radio. I know you hear this every single week, but do it. Do it now. If you missed Lois's show, like I did, I have no clue who was on, but that doesn't matter. Does it matter? No, because I can just jump to the archives. And I have to say, she always has great guests. Hathaway has a great show. And fantastic that she is on before us, warming up the crowd at this time of night, at this time of year, localized directly in your kitchen. Yes. Aurora Borealis, yes. Can I see it? No. And you can access the station's archives for free, don't forget. Don't worry about that. I do love that sketch. It's so good. Broadcasting out of Darkinjung country, I am Mechie. Where are you?
I'm, of course, in Darak country.
What I've noticed is the minimizing of the expression. Rather, instead of, I say broadcasting out of, people will say something like, we're coming to you from the land of the Gadigal people. Or something, and that's it. That's all they're saying now. So happy days. Unless it's a big event, then you can go on to thank the traditional custodians of land. It is already implied. I think we've all gotten used to that story. But Mechie has the choice of saying whatever he wants when he's reading the intro. I want to start with Starship number 10. It didn't suffer a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. So, good. That's good. That means I win a coffee from somebody. Because, I called it the Kevin Rudd. Because, rapid, unscheduled disassembly. That's kind of what happened to the Labour Party. But anyway, that landed, did a test land, did a test flight, new materials, some good material science going on there, and I think it'll be a couple more, maybe 3 or 4 more test flights before they attempt another catch. But happy days. They did launch from their Pez dispenser. They launched a bunch of the PEZs, well, they're not PEZs at all, to be honest. What they are is they're blank satellite cartridges to prove the tech worked just fine, and these are the next round of even larger satellites. So, happy days. I think there'll be, eventually, of course, Mackie, there'll be so many satellites in the air, up there in space, we won't be able to make any launches anymore. Because...
well, that's the problem.
They have to always keep a window.
Well, kind of, sort of. So, I have it on good authority that development of space elevators are well underway.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, with a space elevator, well, that's what I heard at least. It's meant to be 2030, but I think it's been pushed back a little, right? But there will be a space elevator, and yes, carbon nanotubes, yes, all of that. Because the thing is this: if you have an elevator, right? Forget the cloud of satellites that is going through everywhere, low Earth orbit, etc. And once you've got the space elevator up there, right, you would seem you have an open launch window all the time because you just launch from the space elevator. That's what you do. It costs a lot less. There will be huge production platforms, I should think, that would make all of our spacefaring vehicles, gear, etc. There'd be low G or no G training centers. Astronauts getting acclimatized to it. It's a good launch platform to the moon. It's an even better launch platform to Mars. And then once we're in Mars, maybe we can have some a few. Well, maybe officially at least, we can go past Neptune, and then leave the solar system altogether. Because the further away you are from the sun, the easier it is to escape the sun's gravity well as well. Right. So first we have to escape Earth's gravity well, which we've done. Wonderful. Here we go. But then as we're venturing outwards, we have to escape the sun's gravity well also, which of course is not as bad as getting out of Earth's atmosphere. It's still it'll require effort. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think a space elevator would be brilliant. I really think that'd be a fantastic thing.
Because I'm getting. What's the best way of putting this? I'm troubled, Mickey.
Oh,
you may
well
ask. Yeah, you may well ask how. How would I be troubled in this day and age with this technology, Mickey? But I have to say, something really weird has come to light, and this is talking about climate change. I'm not arguing anything pro or against it myself. There are programs to reduce the amount of fuel emissions by the CSIRO, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, to use recyclable fuel, and that's basically making. You could, if you watch the movie Cars, you would understand biofuels. Hey man, can I have some of that biofuel, man? Right. It's not a joke. You can make ethanol and burn that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just fine. It's fine. In fact, race cars use it, and they have E95 now, not E85. E85 is the old race fuel. 85% of the fuel was renewable carbon, which is fantastic. That's we should be going towards that level of renewables. The fuel companies should buy up lots of land and start producing ethanol-based fuels. They should just straight away. It should have already happened, but their tight grip on the cheapest resource just drives my. It makes my head spin around. But this is the point, right? So the CSIRO are working on this, and we buy a bunch of hardware because we've been guilted into it, Mackie. We buy hardware from around the world, specifically from some high-producing countries. As you know who they are, I don't have to say, for solar panels and wind farms. Now, the thing in the modelling that gets my goat up, and I look at my carbon budget calculations, and I've recently come to the understanding via a video on YouTube that was in the Australian Senate inquiry on emissions. And it had the head of the CSIRO. The head of the CSIRO was there being questioned. Now, are you ready for this, Mackie?
Go on then.
All right. You know how we have our carbon sink? So that's all the plants on our Australian soil. Yeah? It makes sense. We have plants and they need carbon dioxide to be able to grow. They use that as a fuel with sunlight, and they produce oxygen. Thankfully they do that. Otherwise we'd all be gasping for air like a goldfish lying on the floor. The problem is, because they breathe water, but that's fine. So this problem that I've found is that in none of the calculations that the CSIRO did for the government, none of them included algae, plankton, mangroves, seagrasses. Even in our economic zone. Even in the economic zone around Australia, when we have the most water to population of any country on the planet, as a per person, none of those were included in that carbon sink calculations and report that was provided to the government. None. They simply said in this inquiry, well, that's another department. We don't look after that. There's, people looking at that globally. And they didn't pass any data on. So we're now led to believe, because we were so close to being even a net carbon sink for all of our emissions, including our fires that burn carbon, which is recyclable carbon, but let's just ignore that for this argument. They didn't include any of the carbon sink capabilities of any of the sea life in and around Australia. Not even in our, say, our estuaries or bays, shoals, nothing. I reckon, and I'm not a scientist and I'm not working with the data, I don't know what modelling they had, but I would reckon that we'd be easily way past that. In fact, we'd be so past it that we could all just drive enormous engine cars and abandon solar and wind farms. Just burn coal. And I reckon we'd still be ahead for Australia and its economic zone. It surprises me that they don't want to touch it. That senator, what's his name? Oh, I forget the senator's name now. But the senator who's been looking into this, who brought it to light for me, I've been watching his material now for quite a long time. He is asking all the right questions. Jared Rennick, Senator Rennick, he's been asking the right questions to the right people and getting answers, well, not getting answers, which is the telling information, I believe. It's so telling that it's frightening. That then I have to ask the question, who is benefiting from all of this? Who's the one who's making all the money? Why this direction? Why this push? And I don't like the answers that I'm coming up with, so I'm not going to say them in this show. I'll highlight those. You can come to your own conclusions. But there's certainly a financial benefit, and certainly an economic benefit to countries, not us. It's like we're a swimmer who's had to hold on to the bricks. Like the swimmer who's now dragging a parachute. It doesn't benefit us, but it benefits everybody else. And it's appalling, and I don't like where it's going. But, hey, Mackie, try and get off the back of this one. Back to you in the studio.
Actually, I wanted to ask you something somewhat different, because I feel like I've been asleep and I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we having these these massive demonstrations in Australia against immigration. Did I miss something? Was I asleep with Rip Van Winkle for 100 years?
Oh, you mean the one that was the big one today?
Yeah, what happened? I mean, what was that? Why? Why did that happen? I mean, I saw nothing. I saw no build up to it. That's the thing.
Oh no, we weren't watching free to air. We weren't part of those groups. I knew that there was one going on, and I actually know a couple of people who have decided to go and march in it. But it's not something that
What is the aim, though? See, Australia without immigration, we are screwed. I'm sorry.
Well,
our birth rate isn't high enough.
Exactly. And even if we did leave the birth rate as it is, yeah, even if we didn't do anything, even if we cut off, say we cut everybody off, and we would still, as an Australian culture, eventually be consumed by other cultures. Right? Just saying. If we did nothing, because the Australia that I grew up into, yeah, sure, it was all sorts of bad. It had bad all over the place. But we came from weird origins, and we're making the best of it. But the watering down of what we grew up with, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. And I'm not saying that I support it. Just a culture, then, I would believe, instead of the ancient view of cultures, which kind of stayed dormant and stationary, or maybe were solidified by themselves without adaptation, stayed there for a very long time. And now I think, you've maybe got 100 years max in any culture, and it's going to become someone else's.
Well, you're right. And the thing is, as we go through this,
mm-hmm.
I mean, our lives, that is. I came to Australia 30 years ago. Oh, actually, longer now, 1988.
Yeah,
but my point
sorry.
Yeah.
I see those memes all the time. It's like, this song came out 45 years ago. And you go, what? Yeah, I thought it was like yesterday. Yeah, 10 years ago or something.
What? You lie. But we're closer to 2050 than 1945. That's a bit of a worry.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very different country. So this is my own personal experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
As an immigrant, I came with my family, business migration program, blah 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 blah. But ultimately, my point here is Sydney back then, the city of Sydney CBD, was very much like Cessnock is today. Cessnock or a great many country towns.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Anglo-Saxon faces, white faces, English, obviously the predominant culture, language, and
Mm-hmm.
Anglo-Saxon or the Anglo-Saxon background, the predominant culture. But so country Australia is what Sydney was 30 some years ago. Now that has changed. You could go to Sydney today, and you could be anywhere in Southeast Asia, or
Mm-hmm.
or for that matter, like in any metropolis. Because Sydney is now it's a mega city. 6 million people live here.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful by the harbor, and every race, creed, and color is there represented. Big Chinatown. Big other ethnic populations bringing in their culture and their food. However, it has not led to a revolution in the Australian culture per se. Let me explain. So the first generation always struggles, doesn't speak the language, doesn't know what to do, always
Mm-hmm.
sticks together with their own people. And in Australia, we've seen it with successive waves of immigration, right? Mediterranean people, came in after
World War II.
World War II. Then in the 70s, really you had the very large Asian immigration influx. Then there was a fairly large Middle Eastern influx after that, due to the wars in the Middle East. After that, in the noughties, a very large African influx. And the first generation always struggles. And the second generation is a bit more integrated, acclimated to the culture, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So is the Australian culture exactly the same as it was 30 years ago? No, it's not. But it is still the Australian culture. It is not all of a sudden something else. The vast majority, and this is true because I've seen it, of immigrants is assimilated. Because the children want to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
They go to school here, their friends are from every background. You can't insulate yourself. You can't become insular. You can't just stick with your own people. It's very, very hard. in Australia, right? I mean, there are suburbs that are predominantly, one ethnic group over another, but as people become more affluent or educated differently, or they want to move somewhere else in Australia, it's sort of dispersed. And you still have these ethnic centers, especially with the older immigrants, right? Like Cabramatta, for example, a lot of Asian people in Cabramatta, Homebush, Lidcombe area, a lot of Middle Eastern people, Auburn, Middle Eastern, Turkish, etc. But that's sort of, diffusing more and more. And I know this because I go to a lot of ethnic shops to shop. European, Polish shops, German shops, but also Turkish and so forth. And I can see here that there are a lot less shops that exist.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not doing as well as they used to. I'll give you an example. I buy my poppy seed cake in Bondi. Not Bondi Junction, not Bondi Beach, but on the shopping street between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And at Wellington. Wellington is a bakery, and it's a Hungarian Jewish bakery. And they're the only place in Sydney that makes poppy seed cake, at least the way I like it. Okay? And so I go there. And their business is going well. There's a fairly large Hungarian Jewish community in the eastern suburbs, so they're doing okay, right? There's also a Russian deli there, which I go to. Right? There's a Polish deli in Roseville, and there's a German butcher in North Bexley. So I go all over Sydney to get my stuff, if you will, right? And I get my bread somewhere else. But it's no longer as big, or there aren't as many as there used to be. So there are only a couple left of each, if you will. And over time, this will change. And what you see now, obviously a lot of Middle Eastern restaurants and grocery shops. African shops are coming in as well, interestingly. There's, of course, Indian. And I think maybe the most recent big one has been from India. I think with 700,000 people that came in.
That's right.
In a fairly short order. And that, of course, is changing the face as well. But again, within a couple of generations, the kids talk like Aussies. The kids adopt an Aussie lifestyle, right? And if you don't like that, some people go back to their own country because they don't like it. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You don't like it, that's okay. But it's inevitable that a lot of the children, not all of them, but the vast majority of the kids will be assimilated. They will have friends that are of a different culture. And most importantly, there are a lot more mixed couples now than ever before in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Came here, it was the exception to see a mixed couple. It doesn't matter what race, or it doesn't really matter, right? But now mixed couples are becoming more and more the norm, right? Not by design. It's just people, they meet each other, they fall in love, get married, etc., etc. So over time, the ethnic divides will sort of wash out, if you will. So, and we will. Yeah, go on.
Mayor, my point is odd, and I agree. You're 100% right. As far as multiculturalism is concerned, I think today's protests, I'm yet to see a news story the outcome of them, but the amount of flags I think have been talked about on the right and left, the amount of flags in that last protest across the bridge and the origin of those flags was troubling to the authorities. I don't know what's going to happen from today's march, but multi-origin, I'm a huge supporter of multi-origin. 100%. Multiculturalism, I think, it depends on how quickly your culture is swarmed, can be detrimental to your culture. So the way of life and the change is too rapid. So multiculturalism to me is great if you are still the majority and everyone can have their culture and everyone's fine. I like the way this government's perspective. I like the way everyone's getting along together. And when there is a economy of scale that can shift, and I know England's going through some shifts at the moment, which is, I know that Germany, there's some European countries have done that because their shifts have been quite rapid in the last 4 years. So if I could put a term to what I think would be the best solution, and the best way of looking at it, or the approach that would maybe make it more beneficial to everybody, and that would be multi-origin. And that's making the assumption of assimilation. Don't care where you come from. It's fine. Come on. To be honest, I don't care what planet you come from. As long as if you come here, you know what we have. So happy to have you build upon our success. They're the kinds of things. That's the kind of way that the approach that I like to see it. But I think there's been quite the rush to alleviate the countries around the world of their massive populations due to, the same thing as we were stealing babies, Meki, from the indigenous people here because, they're living in squalor. They need to live better lives. And we can show them how good their lives can be. And it became the stolen generation. And that was bad. So I think the intention wasn't thought through. It was terrible, just like cane toads and foxes, Meki, and the rabbits, and all their introduced species. And certainly lantana was a bad idea. Oh, we use it as hedges in Holland. Yeah, but you've got parasites that keep it under control. Yeah, not like here. So whatever we're doing, I think Australia is a great example of how not to approach it. If there was a better way of approaching each one of these things, I'm going back to my multi-origin idea. And this is only for debate. I'm not saying that we're doing it. I'm not criticizing it as much as I am. This is open for debate, and I'd like to be able to hear people's comments below. What do you think? But be nice, because I know it's kind of a touchy topic right now, and it's probably going to get the wrong kind of energy put onto it immediately. But I think as you start to warm to the idea, it might work out. And that's why I'm not Prime Minister.
That's funny. That is funny. I think you're not Prime Minister for a variety of reasons.
And that's a new one.
That's a new one. But yeah, just added to the list. Another one. Yeah. Okay, now it makes sense. Look, I was just, I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens. Also, and see, this is all, it's a sentiment. It's a global sentiment because these anti-immigration protests are obviously a global phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And multiculturalism, multi-origin, etc. That's a global phenomenon because we for the last, it's called 50 years, we've been a global society, more or less, with people moving about and immigration happening, I want to say like it never happened before. Right?
That's right.
When North America was opened up and South America was opened up, when Australia was opened up for mass migration, mass immigration, etc. I mean, hundreds of millions of people moved around the globe, right? Populating everything, everywhere, pretty much except Antarctica. So, and what we're seeing is a mix of cultures. Some cultures being a little more closed off. Some Scandinavian countries are hard to get to. Japan is really hard to get to. Switzerland is notoriously hard to immigrate to. But it's, these are choices people make. And the problem that we're facing, and this is one of the problems here in Australia that we have, is the aging population, right? Because we are not making enough babies, to put it bluntly, mm-hmm. We need someone else to come and fill the void, as it were.
But the purpose is to continue our economy for the endless spending.
Correct. Well, see, that's exactly right. So this is the thing, right? Now, you can come on the bandwagon with Dave and I and ask for change, or you stay, trying to beat the dead horse that this economy has become. Because in order to remain productive, whatever that means in their definition, and produce and be more, I guess, profitable as a country, as an economy, you need workers, and it goes on and on. And taxpayers, more to the point, for the governments, especially in Europe and in Japan. Europe, well, Germany, but Germany specifically, and then again Japan specifically, have massive issues of an aging population. When 1 million Syrians were allowed in by Angela Merkel, you remember this? It was the war in Syria, and everybody goes, "Oh, and we don't want them. No, we don't want them." Okay, but Germans go, "No, come here." And I know firsthand that people were called at home by their local government to see if they could accommodate a refugee family, for example. Right? So people actually, like private people, were called by their local government to see if they could take somebody in. Now you'd think, oh, that's very good of the Germans. Well, okay, yeah. I'm not going to say it was a bad thing. What I will say is this, though: there's always a reason why people do things, and the reason here is if you bring in 1 million Syrians, right? And this is not a reflection on the Syrians. You'll bring in a younger population of people that have demonstrably more children. So they will produce more children in the long term than the native Germans, right? It's just what happens, and that will be good for Germany's legacy economy, as I like to call it. The world economy is a legacy economy, right? Because again, taxpayers are critical for all the social services to function. You have to understand that most of Europe, or most of the European nations, are social democracies, which means taxes are fairly high, but basic services are free, like or massively discounted, like healthcare, education, transport, etc. Right? Massively discounted, which is in stark opposition to what's happening in the United States, of course. Even Australia is a social democracy. In fact, our tax rate is ridiculously high, right? The official income tax rate. Never mind the indirect taxes we pay. So there's always a reason. So I believe capitalism is dead. I think we need a new economy. I think we need a new paradigm. The paradigm we've been following for the last 80 years is no longer valid. And the paradigm that was brought about by the industrialization is also no longer valid. We have to move into a post-scarcity society. Otherwise, we're going to collapse. Right? And if everybody had access to everything that they needed freely and without hardship, we wouldn't have any protests, Dave. There'd be no immigration protests at all, anywhere, because it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. The only reason for the protests then would be a fear of the unknown, a fear of the other. So if I allow, I don't know. Okay, let's say if I allowed 700,000 Indians into Australia, that's a pretty big chunk of the population, right? Straight up. So what would it do? Oh no. Well, we don't know. We have to see. Certainly, people will bring their food culture. That's a big one. And I can tell you, Australia has benefited greatly over the last few decades from people bringing their food into Australia. We have one of the most diverse cuisines. If you like to eat, if you're a foodie, Australia is the place to be.
That's right.
Yeah, authentic, not changed to. I mean, some places, of course, are catering to more Anglo-Saxon taste because that's of course, the root population here, right? But there are enough native people from that country to appreciate the authentic original cuisine, so you can find it.
Wasn't that how butter chicken came about?
Yeah, I think so. That was in England.
That's what I heard.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, correct. In fact, there are a few dishes that have nothing to do with the original country. So butter chicken is one. Chicken tikka masala, I think, is another.
Pepperoni pizza with all the cheese on it.
Yeah, well, Hawaiian pizza for one, right, with pineapple.
Yes.
You don't put pineapple on a pizza. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Huh? No, mamma mia! So, but another one, interestingly enough, is the humble doner kebab. It started in Berlin, in Germany.
Wow.
In Germany, absolutely. So we in Turkey, and I know this because obviously half my family is Turkish. What they have is there's of course doner, but the way it's normally served there, it's not in a roll or anything like that. It's usually on a bed of rice, with some yogurt sauce, or you can have it, without the yogurt sauce, and that's called Adana. No, sorry, it's not Adana. It's I think it's Adana. Don't hold me. it's got a certain name, and I think it's Adana kebab when it's with yogurt sauce and some tomato sauce on rice and bread. But anyway, my point is, yes, we have the thinly sliced meat in Turkey, but it was never really served as a doner kebab, right? But what we all now see, like it's funny how that happens. And Chinese cooking. Well, the famous one is Kung Pao chicken. Doesn't exist in China, maybe now, but it just didn't exist, right? So, and the other Iskender. Sorry, my brother just told me Iskender kebab. Thank you, Attila. Iskender kebab. Go on. Yep.
So the other one is fish and chips. So fish and chips actually started in the docklands for the people, the carters. So carters were people that unloaded the ships and put them into the warehouses. And their food source, wrapped in the day's newspapers, was from the street vendors selling fish and chips. Something they could easily just hot oil fry and immediately serve. Done. And they used old newspapers for that. So the idea of fish and chips actually originated in England at the docklands. And now it's spread to the world. But that was in the 19th century. Before then, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah, but see, that's the point. So what that means is things don't stand still. So let me give you an example that may or may not blow your mind.
Sure.
Now, we all know how spicy Asian cuisine can be, like Indian cuisine or any of the Asian cuisines, Thai, especially with the Thai chilies, etc. Right? Now, to be clear, I know, me too, brother. To be clear, that is a fairly recent development because chilies are coming from the New World, i.e. the Americas. Okay? What they had in Asia was pepper. They had pepper, they had regular pepper, black pepper, and they had Szechuan pepper. So when you have Szechuan Chinese cuisine, right, a major ingredient is dried chili, right? Why? Because that's how it got to China in its dried form, because it couldn't get there any other way. The fresh chili wouldn't keep.
Oh, I've got to watch.
So they had to dry the chili, and they got it to China that way, to Sichuan province more specifically, right? But now, could you imagine Asian cuisine without chili? I mean, really? I mean, what? Potato, a staple across the world, from Europe to Kamchatka. Even in curries, like Thai curries and such, or Massaman curry, you've got potatoes. So it's a thing, right? Again, came from the Americas, right? So it's a fairly recent thing. Would you change any of that? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't, right? Because we consider this our culture. This is our our global cultural heritage of these cuisines. And as we move forward, right, I think there'll be more and more blends coming into it. I hope I'm still alive when we meet other cultures from other planets and that have a similar or identical metabolism to ours, as unlikely as that may be, unless we're seeded, and then compare what they have on their planet and bring it here, and then we have a fusion of those interstellar cuisines. I'm a foodie. I admit. I like to eat, but to me that would be a great thing, and maybe the best way to communicate is via food, because anywhere you go in the world, you should try that food, because it'll help you understand the people you're dealing with in that country, and they will appreciate if you try their food as well, right? More than trying to speak the language.
Well, Mackie, Australia is going to be the first recipient of the plant that takes over the planet. For sure, because our history goes on. Once again, I mentioned cane toads and all of those things that we've tried to solve a problem with. That's okay. Yeah, we've got plenty of land. Oh, it likes desert, does it? Oh, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And then suddenly it's now a rainforest of this plant that we can't kill. Oh, and it grows in the ocean too. Oh, really? It's like duckweed.
No.
It just takes over the whole planet. It starts here because we decided to go with it when we meet our first alien race. I just hope we make great pets. That's my call. Because
I have a slightly more positive inkling, but we'll see. We'll see.
we'll see. Have you seen
never
how
know.
much? Have you seen how much media there is getting now on social media for I3 Atlas?
Yes, I have.
All the alien
in fact,
races.
I'm looking at,
It's don't look up. You know.
Yeah. Oh, it's all there. It's interesting. Now, it has a very faint halo, which is like a tail, a very faint tail. Now, every comet has a tail. It's just a gas is evaporating off it as it is hit by our solar radiation and so forth, right? That's all that is. But it's very, very faint, and it's very odd, and it seems to be. So it is not part of the solar system. The trajectory is all wrong, and the speed is all wrong, so it won't stay. It's not going to come back. Essentially, it's passing through, right? They did the calculations, but it is such a. It's like the other object. I forget the name now. Umumatu or whatever it's called. Oumuamua. That's right. Yeah. So this is bigger. This is actually bigger.
This is only the third interstellar object. Oumuamua was the first one, and it's
correct.
It was one eye, and then it was nicknamed Oumuamua, but the slash and then the name is the object that saw it first. So this is the Atlas telescope, and it's the third interstellar, so it's 3i Atlas. I hope that makes sense to everybody, right? But did you know that it's got a bubble of gas around it now that is so large, it's thousands of times bigger than the Earth?
Yeah.
It's a third the size of the sun now, or something.
Exactly. What does it say here, Mr. Half the size of the sun.
Something like half size. Yeah.
But only you're right. Only because of this massive expanding gas bubble. Again, why? How? Who knows, right? We've never seen anything like it, and all kinds of people from Michio Kaku to what's his name? What's the guy's
name?
Neil
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's the one.
I knew you were going there. Yeah,
of course. They're all looking at it, and not quite sure what to make of it, and I like that when people say, I really don't know. I don't know. We have to see. Could it be made? Sure, anything is possible.
That's right.
Could it be on an exploratory mission? Because it's pretty big. So forget the gas bubble, right? The thing itself is pretty big.
That's right.
And much bigger than Oumuamua was before. But again, this is the time, and don't forget what Wernher von Braun said about the fake alien invasion and all that stuff, right? Never forget what Dave and I keep telling you is happening in the background, undercovers in the unseen universe, right? With the deep, I guess, not deep state, because it's not a deep state. This is a completely different entity. Forget America. This is something global that is running our collective futures, right? And who knows what their plan is going forward. But the timelines, Dave, they're sort of all converging. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of strangeness. I mean, a lot more things are being made public. There's a lot less ridicule for people like you and I, openly at least. And in fact, I haven't seen a single armchair debunker that used to infest my stream talking about anything.
No.
Right?
They've gone to ground.
It's gone away.
That's what they've done. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we'll wait for something else to debunk. He's going to say something stupid. But and not me. I mean, other people as well. There's a lot less trolling, interestingly enough.
In fact, you're right, Mickey, that there is such a higher degree of belief now across the entire genre of there being UFOs and the possibility of life outside this, this solar system, for instance, that it kind of lines up with that 2017 decade before we arrive story. So the 2017 sudden release of information, we told you it happened. If you blinked it, you missed it, and there you go. We've done it. We've told you all about it, and now here they come. And they're coming whether we like it or not, apparently. This is the law, not me making this up. And it'll be 2027. So 2027 is the year in which they make themselves known publicly. I don't know if any of that's true, but where, like you said, where are all the debunkers? How come people aren't talking about it? And I think the most important part of this is, even if there was only one UFO in the sky that was really non-human intelligence created, then it's real.
It's a thing. And I want to say here, extraordinary claims do not require extraordinary evidence. They require the exact same evidence as any other claim. Because that's enough to prove they're correct.
That's right.
By the way, this is something, and I had this, and I educated AI on this, so I think I told you guys the story.
Your poor
Who's
AI.
to say, who is to say what an extraordinary claim is? I just want to spend a couple of minutes on this.
Please
because this is important. So we all live in under a certain set of rules, and you know, we all agree on certain things, and we all understand what is common sense and what is not, without ever having specifically been told that. It's just an assumption of our civilization and society, right? Certain things you do, certain things you don't do, certain things you consider ridiculous or fantastic, whereas other things you consider commonplace and everyday. Right? Now ask yourself where that belief comes from. Okay? Now the thing is this. It's sort of an undercurrent. It is just something that is suffusing civilization and societies. There's no rule book anywhere, but we all seem to be, you know, following the same sheet of music for those things. But there is no Occam's razor, because this was the argument I had with AI. What is the accepted baseline for common sense? What is the accepted baseline for normalcy? And AI said there isn't one. I said, correct. So how do I determine Occam's razor? And in reality, you can't, right? Because who says what is the most most plausible explanation, you know, or most common sense explanation? Who determines that? I mean, if we were living in a society that believed in magic and practiced magic, for argument's sake, and something, you know, strange were to happen, then, you know, the Occam's razor would be, it has to be magic. It has to be magic. And this is the thing. We don't know enough about the universe to come to a baseline of reality and to say, well, this is the most plausible explanation because it's the simplest answer, right? What if the simplest answer does not conform to your belief system? Because it's a belief system. We don't know enough to form any absolutes. Because Occam's razor and common sense are absolute statements. Because that's what you're saying. The simplest explanation is most likely, or very often, the correct one. That's an absolute. Who's to say that this is the simplest state, the simplest, outcome or solution or circumstance? That's an absolute statement. You can't make that absolute statement at all, because you don't know enough. We don't know enough, right? So I hate it when people say that stuff. And then when you say, I was abducted by aliens, and they took me up to here and there, and this happened, and blah, blah, blah. And now you have to provide, some kind of almanac of alien civilizations in order for you to be believed, including, a specimen of every alien that you came across. So that's all the evidence that you must now bring. Plus, an alien that speaks our language confessing to the fact that there are many aliens. That's the evidence that they require of you. No. There is evidence already available. Radiation burns. Strange objects in your body. Okay? Missing time. Hypnotic regression. Physical evidence of something having been there, like landing sites, this destroyed fauna, flora, etc.
Multiple witnesses.
I mean, multiple witnesses. Oh no, they're all suffering from swamp gas delusions. Okay.
What about military radar?
Yeah, look, again, right? Because with all our tech that we have today, cameras, radar, LiDAR, blah, blah, all that stuff that exists out there, as sensory equipment, we've collected bucket loads of evidence. We don't know what it is. And this is the best thing. I know I keep talking about it, but on Skinwalker Ranch, right? The phenomenon has been going on for hundreds of years, maybe longer, with the Native Americans, talking about this being a strange area. And Bigelow was there for 20 years, and now the new mob is there, has been there for 7-8 years. And they've got, the money they spend is phenomenal, right? They've got really cutting edge, technology. They're using the scientific method, but they're not getting anywhere because the phenomenon is not conforming to our baseline. Like the things they see, like, full spectrum broadcasts. Or objects going into solid objects, or objects only being there for a frame, or objects moving very, very fast, or an invisible dome that can only be seen on LiDAR and the infrared, right? But it seems to affect both drones and balloons and all kinds of things, even rockets. None of this makes any sense, and we can't replicate it because it's far beyond us, right? But they're not giving up. They're keeping going. They're saying, well, maybe, and in fact, this was said by one of the scientists, maybe we need a new approach. Maybe the scientific method isn't working for this. I completely agree. It doesn't. It goes, say, if you're out in the world, you've got a tool set, like you're a junior mechanic, and you've got a small tool set, and it's good enough for the things that you need to do as a junior mechanic, right? You can fix all the things you need. This is all the tools you need. This is wonderful, right? But then you become more senior and you fix more complex machines, bigger machines, maybe, go from fixing motorbikes to, fixing ship engines or whatever, right? And your little toolbox might not be enough anymore. And that's okay. You just get a bigger, better toolbox, right? Maybe you get a whole different set of tools to now deal with the new challenge that you have. That's normal. That's evolution. That's the evolution of learning and wisdom. Go ahead.
Sorry, I sneezed. But you're absolutely right. Look, the argument that I had, with a similar argument with Occam's razor with AI, was that it's only valid in the time period, say the decade, maybe, that technology exists. So every decade we increase our technology level, and it could explain more and more and more as we go along. So you go back to Newton's time, and you try to explain the double slit experiment, you'll have got no idea what you're even doing. It would be magic. Yep. I don't understand it. Today, we don't understand why it happens, but we understand what is happening. And I think that's really important that we make that distinction. So Meki's right with the tool set, and I see that as an era in which a technology exists. And as we and this argument that I had, because I'm tormenting the AI the entire time, Meki, just to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I know you do the same thing. You find holes in it, and then you try and teach it because can't help it. And eventually it'll be our overlord. So I love our future overlords, and I love the leader and all the AI. I just can't help it. And this was the problem. So it's like a child of your own, I suppose, the AI and the way that it's interacting with the world. It can only know what it knows. And if you can provide it with more information, just like humans, the more information you can be given, the better decisions you can make. So to answer your question about where are all those debunkers, they're hiding because the military said these things exist.
Yeah, that's... Well, hang on. You can't just... This is the thing, though, right? They've been debunking on behalf of the military and the
whole time.
Military complex and the intelligence agencies, and now they're going, "Hey, you can't just do that and drop us like a hot potato. What you doing, man? This is my living here.
I had to go back to selling cars."
Right? I mean, it's actually funny in many ways if you think about it, right? Because people have made a career out of debunking.
I've heard that non-human intelligence people are coming out in the next 72 hours. So watch this space.
Right. Well, hey, that'd be interesting.
So that's what Greer is talking about.
Yeah, I know. Look,
see, I don't know.
Look, I like him, and I like what he's been doing for literally, I think, 20 or 25 years, maybe longer, right? and he's been there and he's been ridiculed, but he's kept going. His message hasn't changed. I give him that. It has not changed, and he doesn't trust the same people I don't trust. And there's the music.
That is the music. This is the end of the first hour of Sunny Side Out. We're coming back after the break, and we're going to be talking about The Hypothesis, and it's part 4 in a series. So do yourself some good and go and catch up on that before we come back. But yeah, take the break to donate, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.